Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Understanding Retirement Savings and 401k Plans for Small Business. Sorry. Presented by Human Interest. My name is Patty Montoya and I'll be your moderator today from the Early Growth Financial Service team. I have a few quick notes before we get started. The webinar will last about an hour and that includes time at the end for questions. So feel free to type your questions into the control panel and we will answer them in between slides. The next thing to note is that this webinar will be recorded and sent to all registrants with the slide deck within 48 hours. You can also find this recording and all of our recordings on our YouTube channel, Early Growth. Now, before I pass this off to our speaker today, I'd like to tell you a bit about Early Growth Financial Services. This is a quote from our founder, David Ehrenberg, and a few clients we've worked with. And here's a quick description of what we do. We are an outsourced finance and accounting firm. We work with early stage companies, helping them with everything from day-to-day accounting to financial forecasts to taxes and valuations. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panelist, Andrew Long, who will tell us a bit about himself and kick off today's discussion.
Awesome. Thank you, Patty. Yeah, I guess a little bit about myself. I'm from Human Interest. We're a 401k provider that focuses on startups and small businesses. My role here is as a partnerships manager, and I guess what that entails is just managing relationships with our partners within the HR/benefits ecosystem. Today, we'll just be talking a little bit about the 401k, specifically what a 401k plan is. I'm sure some of you must have heard about this before, and maybe some of you already have it at an existing employer, and then a little bit more about the benefits of 401k plan and why now is probably better than tomorrow. Cool. So the basics. A 401k plan is a retirement savings plan specifically offered and sponsored by your employer. You're able to save money, invest it automatically directly from your paychecks, and then the money presumably grows over time, gaining investment gains, and then you're able to pull it out of retirement, presumably at a higher amount, and hopefully at a lower tax bracket as well. And a little bit about the basics. You've probably heard about a 401k versus an IRA. I guess the two main differences here is a 401k is sponsored by your employer versus with an IRA, you're able to sign up independent of having an employer or having an employer that sponsors the plan. The caveat to that is the 401k just gives you much higher contribution limits when compared to the IRA. So $19,000 with the 401k versus $6,000 with an IRA. And then on top of that, going back to one of the points from before, the 401k allows you to contribute directly from your paycheck, which is really nice to not have to think about maybe wiring funds or cutting a check to the IRA on a monthly or quarterly basis. So the benefits of a 401k. There's two types of 401k options, and this also applies to actually the IRA as well, but the Roth and the traditional. The traditional is the one where you're able to invest your dollars directly from your paycheck, free of taxes now, and then they'll grow tax deferred until retirement age. And then at retirement age, presumably you're older, you're earning less money, so your tax bracket is a little bit older. A little bit lower, and you're able to withdraw the money at a lower tax bracket. And then conversely, there's also the Roth option, where you're able to pay the taxes now, have the money grow, and then pull it out at retirement without having to pay taxes. Really just depends on where you expect your income as well as your tax bracket to be at retirement. And so the $1 million question probably then becomes, which one should you choose? This really varies in a lot of different ways. Usually when we speak with younger employees, it might skew a little bit more towards the Roth. since they're younger and presumably not hitting their strides in their highest income earning years versus an older employee. And some of the factors to think about are whether or not you think you'll have a lower income tax bracket now or at the time of withdrawal/retirement, how much time you have until retirement, and of course, factors such as the market performance. And so why you should start now. This is something that we encourage all the time and is a basic principle of personal finance, where money invested today is much more valuable than money invested tomorrow. And the reason why is because of compound interest. So in this example here, Cynthia invested $5,000 per year for 10 years. So from the age of 25 to 35. The total amount that she invested was $50,000. Conversely, Thomas invested $5,000 per year as well from ages 35 to 65. So he invested for 30 years with a total amount of $150,000. We'll see how this all turns out. So after, with those amounts invested, Cynthia invested only $50,000, and she ended up at $535,000 at retirement. And Thomas invested 3x more than what she invested, so at $150,000, and he ended up with only $472,000. I guess the 2 points to note here is that one, investing now today is better than investing tomorrow. And secondly, even investing $50,000 over the span of 10 years or $5,000 per year with an average annual rate of return of 7% gets you to a significant balance at the end of the line. And so conversely, I guess we talked a little bit about why this is important and helpful as an employee or a participant to be saving for retirement. It's also really, really valuable for the employer or the company to be offering a 401k plan to your employees. And the two main ideas is really behind recruiting and retaining talent. So after medical benefits, the retirement program usually comes in second as the most asked for benefit. And just in this day and age, it could be really affordable to offer a 401k plan. And so just a few last points about the retirement plans as a whole. They're really designed for long-term saving. So because of that, the IRS has parameters around withdrawing or taking your money out early. So only put money in that you plan on being able to have it sit there through when you retire. And most people recommend to keep your funds in the account until you're 59 and a half. And like I said earlier, for early withdrawals, there's a penalty fee, as well as the fact that you have to pay your income taxes on that amount that you're taking out. And then if worse comes to worse and you need money from your plan, you're able to actually borrow against your 401k plan with a 401k loan, where you're essentially paying interest to your own balance as you pay off that loan. Cool. And so
Andrew, I had a question.
Sure.
So what if I invest on my own through a 401k like Roth, and then with my employee, can I hit $5,000 on my own and $5,000 with my employee?
Yes. So in the event that you're maxing out your 401k plan already, you're able to also max out an IRA on your own. So yeah, that could be really beneficial. There's some parameters around like how much income that you can earn to be able to contribute in the IRA. But I could pull up the stats and send it over to you if that's helpful.
Okay, perfect. We don't have any other questions at the moment. Do you want to share anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main point here is just, I mean, with Social Security going down, a lot of people are worried about their retirement. And so I think that saving, whatever way that you could save long term, with the goal of having some money for the end of the line at retirement, I think is good. I think if your company is offering a 401k, that's great. It's even better if they're offering a 401k match, because that's essentially free money that they're giving to you as a benefit. But if you're not in that circumstance, I think at least starting with an IRA is a really great starting point. And it doesn't have to be a lot of money. Even just having a little bit in the account and letting it grow over time is really, really valuable.
What would you suggest? How much do you suggest people should put at each age? So, for example, from 25 to 35, what is the amount that they should be? How much percentage of their paycheck should they be adding?
That's a really good question. And I think without knowing the specifics of the situation, it's hard to have a good amount. But a rule of thumb that we usually like to start off with is 4 to 6% of your paycheck. It's a low enough number that you might not feel it as a bottom line number, but it's a good starting point. And then from there, you can always adjust upwards too.
Perfect. That's great. Anything else you want to share?
I think that's probably all from me.
Perfect, Andrew. I think this is it. I think that was very valuable. I'm gonna share it over email, and I will add it to YouTube for everyone to rewatch it later. But thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Yeah, definitely. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to shoot me an email directly at andrew@humaninterest.com, and I'll be happy to answer this.
One last thing, you mentioned you had an offer today.
Yep.
Can
Yes. So yeah.
Go ahead.
So for any employers that were looking to set up or maybe just talk about the 401k plan, we have an awesome team over here that focuses on working with companies that are setting up new plans with human interest. So we're for any attendees of this webinar, we offer to give them the waiver of the setup fee. So waiving a $4.99 initial setup fee, as well as 2 months worth of services. So if you just wanted to talk about whether or not it might make sense, maybe now or down the line, it could be interesting to reach out to us.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you, buddy. Bye.